As researchers try to create a coronavirus vaccine, scientists overseas are trying a different approach. But is it safe? Cheryl Mercedes connects the dots.
Scientists around the globe are racing to develop a vaccine for coronavirus. And in Britain, they are hoping to speed up development by deliberately trying to infect volunteers with COVID-19. Let's connect the dots. Usually when scientists are trying to create a vaccine for a disease without an effective treatment, they give some volunteers the vaccine, others a placebo, and ask them to go about their normal lives. They then record if anyone experiences negative side effects or develops the disease. It's a slow process done with thousands of volunteers. There is a faster way. Scientists can give the volunteers the vaccine, then deliberately try to infect them with the disease. It's called a challenge trial. And when there is no surefire therapeutic to treat that disease, it is considered by many to be unethical. The Imperial College London, with help from the British government, is planning to do just that. Volunteers will have lab-grown coronavirus blown directly into their noses while quarantined in a hospital. Fewer than 100 volunteers between the ages of 18 and 30 will be used. It's not clear which vaccine of the many in development will be used. The British scientists admit it is risky, but could potentially save hundreds of thousands of lives. Connecting the dots, I'm Cheryl Mercedes for H-Town Rush.
Cheryl, thank you. The UK government is investing $44 million into that trial. If approved, it would begin in January.